Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out, the 12 Freeze gym, or rather the cafe attached to it, here in Paddington in London. And Kell Brook's come down to that London from Sheffield, and so's Dominic Ingle, who we see down here a bit more often. Kell, what's brought you here today? The food?
Certainly not the food, was it?
No, we'll come down here to train. We've been down here to do some media work, and we'll come down here now because while we're down here, we've got to train, haven't we? We've got to keep moving.
And you're fighting, obviously, big comeback against Mark DeLuca in February. Just explain this the short version, if you don't mind, why we haven't seen you since that underrated win, I'd say now, in hindsight, over Michael Zarafa. Why haven't we seen you since?
Couldn't get the fights that I need. Couldn't get the fights that I need, so lost a bit of interest, had a bit of time out. But I had to sit down and think, you know, my life I weren't really happy there. I'm be happy when I'm training in the gym, and the fans coming out, and obviously the challenges, and people saying you can't, and I believe I can. That's what I'm here.
And back with Dom, obviously, after a short hiatus. What kind of brought you back to Dom and to that gym where you began your boxing journey? Age what? 9 years old?
9 years old. Still, it's everything I know down at the Ingle Gym. From his dad, and passed the torch to Dom. You know, so there's a lot of history there, and it was never permanent when I went and left with Fuchs. Billy Joe were fighting in Canada. They were out there, different time zones, and it has passed him. Didn't mean for that fight. So it was just temporary. I trained with John Fuchs, and we had. You know, the fight in my mind, I thought it'd just be. I didn't think it was any kind of Spence or Golovkin or any of these kind of. I thought it'd be a walk in the park, but he ended up being a bit tougher and trickier than I thought.
At least you didn't lose. I mean, Jeff Horn did, so.
Yeah, no, so that's history now, and we're obviously now we're back together.
Sharing food, as we saw earlier.
Sharing food.
It's always good to see. Dom, what's it like having him back in the gym, and has the dynamic changed a bit since he was last there, in that guys like Liam Williams, Barry have grown in the interim period?
Not really. Listen, it's no different. You notice a bit of a void. You know, people come and they go and they come back. I mean, Kell's spent time over the years out of the gym when he's been injured and stuff. So, you know, you always got the sense, even though I said in the interview he's probably not going to come back, because I did actually think, he's going to beat this kid. Even though you think a fight's going to be a walk in the park, they never are. Prepare, make it a walk in the park. And I thought, I spoke to Kell before, and we went over to Canada with Billy Joe Sons, which actually turned out to be a waste of time, because we trained in Canada, then we went to Boston, didn't box. So it was a bit of a waste of a time, and the time frame was tight, and you can't be going through time zones and following people around. So Kell made the best decision for him, that's what you got to do as a boxer, because when you finish, you're forgotten. We'll always have somebody walking in the gym and training, but I expected him to do an easy enough job on Zarafa, get the calm fight, and that's itself into the sunset. He wasn't wanting to stick around in boxing too long. He got a young family, and I said to him, look, get your money, get your fights, clear off, enjoy your life. You've put a lot into boxing, which he had a lot of injuries, and the last thing you want to see with Kell Brook is him getting, used as a punch bag later on in his career, like you see so many of these good fighters carrying on too long. Leave it with no more ambition to carry on. Get it all out of your system. And I think he's had a bit of time out. He's gone through, dark moments in his career and his life, and now he's back. He's 33, 34 in May. A couple more fights. Get the ones he wants if he can, and then pack up. So he's in a good place. He's probably the best weight he's ever been in his career before a fight, over the last couple of months, which is kind of ironic, really, when it's always been a problem for him. So hopefully that's going to make a big, be a big plus. And if you can keep that kind of mentality for the next 12 months, he could have a good 12 months. He could be fighting quite regular.
And Kell, you're coming back obviously against Mark DeLuca at super welterweight, 154. Is that going to be your permanent home? I know you get asked this all the time, you're probably sick of it, but would you still make 147 for the right fight? Is that feasible?
The right fight, yeah.
And what are the fights? Dom said you want to get the fights you want to get and then pack up. What are those fights? What's left on your wish list?
It'd have to be Khan, wouldn't it? It'd have to be Khan. I'd love to fight Errol Spence again. I'd love to fight Keith Thurman. I think he's an exciting fighter. And then did you like middleweights? Whoever's the flavour of the month at the time, top fighters will be hunting for that man.
And last time I spoke to you, you said that negotiations between yourself and Amir Khan's team were as good as they'd ever been in the past. What's kind of the latest on that? Has it took a downslide since then?
Yeah, it took her down. I've not heard nothing new.
Do you think he might be holding out for the Pacquiao comeback fight? I know Pacquiao's back in April. They're talking it could be in the Middle East. Do you think Khan's holding out some glimmer of hope that it could be in the opposite corner?
It probably is, yeah. You know, because I think that he's like a bit like a whore. You know, he's looking for the biggest money fights he can. You know, he's basically just, you know, just chucking himself.
The biggest bang for his buck.
The biggest bang for his buck.
Biggest bang for his buck.
To continue the whore theme.
We've been having an interview today, and I tried to imitate what Dom said earlier. What do you want to just?
What, that he's prostituted himself of his last couple of fights. That's what
prostitute himself, waiting for the, you know, for the biggest earners because his wife's pregnant again. You know, she wants, they fly first class everywhere. They want this big house in London. You know, so they want the biggest money fights. So I know. So he's prostitute. He's waiting for the biggest one.
You're obviously keeping busy against Mark DeLuca. I guess we can assume that you haven't got another kid on the way, at least not at the moment, because this is a mark in time fight, it's fair to say, although no underestimating him. What can you tell us about Mark DeLuca?
You know, it's tough. You know, Dom's actually seen him live a few times. Dom will look. I never really look at my opponents. Dom's telling me what he's about. He's tricky. I know what he's going to be doing for the first 5 or 6 rounds. How he's going to come out and fight. I'll listen to what.
So he's going to make it for 5 or 6 rounds then?
Well, yeah. You know, it could go out in first 30 seconds. It could go 12 rounds. You know, but I'm just saying. I'm listening to Dom, and 5 or 6 rounds is going to be game. He's going to come forward. He's tricky. You know, we've got a game plan. We've got where we're going to be hitting him a lot and what we're going to be doing.
Dom, tell us about the differences, both positive and perhaps negative, about the difference between Kell Brook now and Kell Brook, say, 5 years ago. So where has he grown and where has he maybe physically perhaps regressed?
No, nothing's changed really. It's just you get to a point where you start getting past 30 and things start falling into place. So mentally he's probably matured more than anything, because you know, it's coming to the point of his career he's having to think. With pre-30 and pre-world title fight, everything was laid out for him. I think he's told what to do, and that's great when you're winning. Then you have a couple of losses, and then you have to start actually thinking when the phone's not ringing and nobody's stopping you in the street and people aren't interested. It is a bit of an adjustment to make.
I rang him a couple of times.
Well, yeah, obviously you're the face of SecondsOut.com. I mean, I can imagine you get stopped all the time. But
mostly by the police.
What you realise then is that there's more to life than fame. Unfortunately, he's got a few quid, he's got a nice house, great family. But then what happens is you start thinking, you know, the reality of boxing finishing is very soon. Am I going to be happy leaving this in the situation that I am? And you want to leave on a good note. You want to empty your tank and think, that's me done with boxing. I never need to come back again. We also go back to Marvin Hagler when he had his last fight. He said, I'm nothing to do with boxing. He never made a comeback. And that's the same with Keller. Said, get it out of your system. Do everything you need to do. And you know, his weight's been great. Hopefully he can have a good 12 months and get the fights he wants, 12 to 18 months, then just pack up and enjoy his life, because he has had a grueling career. He's had a lot of damage, been in some big fights, and you know, you want to live and enjoy the rest of your life. You want to spend time with your kids and your family. He's got a great family, nice place to live, well known in Sheffield. You know, enjoy your time. He has put a lot into boxing over the years.
And Kel, have you noticed that Dom, since you've been away, seems to enjoy the spotlight a little bit more, gets the guitar out a bit more often in the gym?
Yeah, his passion's always been music. This is just a bit. This is his side thing. This training, his real passion is music.
Is it your sort of thing? Is it your jam?
What's that music?
Well, his music.
His music.
Yeah. Would you listen to it at home?
Yeah, listen to his music. But you know what? I'm like with Barry kind of thing, hip hop and all that kind of thing. But you know, any kind of music, what's nice is nice. You know, the world goes by with listening to music. So we've got a little tune coming out soon. Don't worry.
What, you as well? Are you featured on it?
I'm not featured on it.
Bit of MCing.
Actually, part of the inspiration behind it. So you know.
Yeah.
When you sit down and you weigh out, you know, you go through boxing, you see how boxing's changed over the last 10 years. It's been great what Eddie's done, and it's opened it up to a lot of people. But the thing is, now you've got to be able to fight. Do you understand? You've got to be able to fight, because the fights can be made, and you know, there's these people who talk up a good fight, but there's very few people who back it up. And you know, Kel's been one of them who's jumped in with anybody. You've got to give him credit for the big jump from, you know, welterweight to face Golovkin. massive step up. I mean, Golovkin then was probably at his peak. He's probably on the slide now, you know, and he's got maybe 1 or 2 fights left. But like I said, with Kell, it was a great night, and it was almost nearly there. And if you don't dare to be great, you'll never know, will you? So, you know, it was a great night.
And Kell, just a last message for the viewers out there. I haven't seen you in the ring for a long time now, and there are critics as well, as you've alluded to yourself, that will be writing you off. What can they expect to see from you in February?
They expect me to be very accurate, very sharp, powerful, thinking about what I'm doing, and having fun. And it's going to be an exciting night, which it always is in Sheffield.
Brilliant. Well, we thank you both for your time, and best of luck. We'll be watching in February.